Welcome, everybody. We're sitting here waiting for it to go live. Hey, Jennifer, welcome to. It's so much fun to do these Thursday, 6 p.m. for you, 4 p.m. for me on Thursdays. Get together. It's an update, a time for us to check into real estate and fundability, see how they're working, see what's happening in both worlds. So, Jennifer, talk to us. What have you found in your world that's going on that we need to address today?
So this time it's really about businesses. So we have everybody who, all sorts of people across the United States. They've been communicating in ways where they're looking at what is the business that they want to have. Whether they've decided, some people are looking at franchises for, there are all sorts of real estate franchises there, and there are other franchises. They're looking at these different businesses. So they're looking at, okay, whatever I was doing, it's just not working for one reason or another.
Pivot because of COVID, or at least they're getting real with themselves and be like, what do I want to do in this brave new world we live in, right?
And a lot of people, I wish I had some of my regular props here. I might have one. Look here. See, people are like, they feel like they're getting thrown money, because the SBA, the Small Business Administration, and all these different programs are saying, here, you can just have money. So let's talk about that. Yeah. Is it a good thing to go ahead and accept the money, or should we be?
Yeah, there are a lot of. Well, this happens to coincide exactly with an update we received from our FICO rep. Right, our FICO liaison, who happens to be the liaison with FICO and FICO and the SBA. So it's been exciting to be able to see that I have a liaison who happens to be the liaison with the SBA. So it's kind of like inside information. I absolutely love it. Well, so but before we get to that, I also got an update. He sent me an update about what's happening and how they're expanding the EIDL program. So let's hit those, and then we'll talk about their possible impact. All right?
Okay, let's do that.
But before the EIDL was supposed to address problems over and give us an opportunity to recuperate from 6 months of negative economic impact, right?
Right.
And so they have now increased that $150,000 to now $500,000. You can actually expand your loan amount if you had a first one, or if you didn't apply, you can now apply for up to $500,000. Here are the rules of engagement, though. Anything over $200,000 or more requires a personal guarantee, but $199,000, no personal guarantee is required.
Wow.
The notes are for 30 years. Amortized over 30 years, and it is more 3+% interest, whereas interest rates were they advertised the 1% interest in the first round. This new money will come at a little bit higher interest, but still, even credit lines and business loans are coming in higher than 3.5% or more interest. So it's if you're looking to borrow money, 30-year amortization and up to $500,000. Now you have to qualify for the amount that you get. Anything over $200,000 is a personal guarantee. Anything over $25,000 or more still comes with a UCC lien being placed on your business. So here's where we're going to kind of separate the facts from the strategies. If you are going to make sure that if you do not do the EIDL loan in the company name that you're going to use as a funding entity and go get additional business lines of credit or business loans. I've coached my clients that use one of their client companies for the EIDL and keep their what we call a qualified fundable entity, keep that for traditional lending, because this will end, you guys. This is going to end. And when it does, lenders are going to look to see how encumbered your business is. And if you anything over that 25,000 or more is going to have a UCC lien, and Wells Fargo, Citi, BB&T, PNC, they're unlikely to lend to that entity because you have so much you're carrying already through the EIDL loan. All right. So that's my first recommendation is make sure you don't need to go get unsecured stated income business lines of credit, business loans from the same entity you're doing the EIDL loan for, or it's likely not to
So
happen.
I am curious. That's another one that people ask me a lot is, what about the different entities? Does it matter if you pick this one versus that one?
Well, it does matter because you have to submit, especially in this next one, you have to submit 2019 tax returns. So it's got to have the name of the entity that you're going to be using. Most my students and clients use either a new company or they create a different organization to become the funding entity that we will use in the strategies that I teach, rather than one of their real estate companies or their franchises or otherwise. We call those in our cosmology, in our universe, we call those client companies, not the funding entity.
So what about that? So say, for instance, somebody, again, as we said at the top of this, they're pivoting, they're switching, and they're changing. So their old company really isn't the thing. So now they're creating a brand new company. Could they actually get funding because they wouldn't have any income in 2019?
Correct. It's unlikely because the EIDL loan is designed to support loss or hardship for that company. So the idea would be, if you're going to borrow in the previous company's name, and then you can then use those as lend that money to. We got to find out what your promissory note says. But if you lend that money to a new entity and make sure that you are making those payments, you shouldn't have any problems. But you just want to make sure that you are following the guidelines, because like the PPP loans, forgiveness of those loans was based on pretty specific criteria. Same thing, you can violate the promissory note if you use these funds for purposes other than the stated application purposes.
Right. So it's very important. Yeah, I'm sorry. And then we wanted to continue. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure we got that out, because I know there's some people, when they're pivoting, they're looking at starting a brand new business, but that's not going to work for these loans.
Yeah, EIDL loans are not a traditional SBA, and SBA is still in the business, guys, of lending traditionally, right? For a franchise loan or otherwise, an SBA loan is still there and available for you to borrow. But let's now talk about the idea of what's coming, right? The future of borrowing. First of all, my clients have had a marked increase in the number of approvals they've gotten during COVID, because they're bullseye borrowers, right? They're that perfect. We've optimized their profiles to become that perfect borrower. Well, what does perfect borrowing mean in the future? Well, if we continue to, if the interest rates continue to stay low, and unemployment continues to fall, and we begin to move through this quasi muddy thing we've called a near recession, whatever you want to call this thing, then lending is going to open up again. Lenders have more money than they've ever had to lend. They're overcapitalized. And so in this process, they're going to, as soon as their bank reserves are at particular levels, because they have not been lending as much as they have during prosperous times, they're going to be able to increase the approvals. The more fundable you are, the more perfect above borrower you are, the more close you are to that funding bullseye, the more likelihood that even in relaxed open borrowing, you're going to get more or higher approvals. You can qualify for more money on the same application that you fill out. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
The application is just what you're asking for, but they will approve you for more the more fundable that you are. So that's my kind of prognostication for the next 6 to 12 months, is that it's going to continue to open up, and they've got money to burn, man. The lenders have got money to burn.
It's almost like they're printing it.
Yeah, well, that's weird. we have over and the funny thing is, the money coming from the banks is different than the money coming from the Fed. Even though they borrow money, lenders are still using the same game they've always borrow from the Fed at 0.5%, 1% or whatever, charge us 3 to 18 or 22% and arbitrage their profits, right? Well,
right.
So if that relationship still continues to move productively, then they're going to have more money to lend, and they're going to give us more per application based on the fundability of our profile. I think it's going to be good news.
So one thing before we go, because I know we go through this so fast, but one thing I always think is we have to go back to basics. And something that is really always confusing, I think, to so many people, because I hear this question over and over again, is, so does it matter if you're able to get these, huge amount of money on your business? Does your personal credit matter? Does your fundability matter as a personal individual? Because I think this is really being overlooked.
Yeah, that's a great question. So for good or ill, FICO and the lenders review a 24-month look-back period as predictive of what's going to happen in the future. Now, the amount of money you get through EIDL or anywhere else, as long as those payments are made on time, as long as you're hitting the FICO 40 borrower behaviors and you're doing them well, then they're not going, and the EIDL loans don't show up on personal, so they're not counted in your business debt to income ratio, right? I mean, in your personal debt to income ratio, those are business expenses. And so fundability is still key. You operating from a perfect borrower mentality, being that perfect client for banks, the more you do now, and remember, we're in what, month 13 or 14 of the pandemic, it's lightening up, but we've got we're over half of the last 24-month look back period that they're going to be measuring. So it is vital that all of our behaviors right now stay on point, and which means if you don't need evictions, if you can pay your rent, pay your rent. If you can pay your mortgage, pay your mortgage. Because because of a natural disaster, they can say paid as agreed when it's in deferment. Those negative indicators are still going to count against you in future borrowing. Straight up going to count against you. So do everything in your power to stay on point with your monthly credit payments and follow all the rules of fundability that's available in the boot camp, in our podcast, everything in these FBLs, everything we're talking about. Make sure you stay on point.
And if they want to register, don't forget, get fundablejennifer.com.
Yeah, fundablejennifer.com if you want to find out how to do all these things. We're talking about what to do, but we have over 30 strategies on how to become fundable in our boot camp. Mm-hmm. And the next boot camp is on June 4th and 5th, at 9 to 5, 2 days back to back. It's 100% this kind of interaction, right? It's live interaction with me for 16 hours. Come and check it out. It's crazy.
It's intense. It's for sure. It's intense. And it's so much fun because it's always every single time different.
Every time.
And life keeps changing and things keep shifting,
yeah.
But it's also just the questions.
It's very different, right? So you guys make sure you like, love, share. If this has been informative, send this out to everybody that you know, whether they have an EIDL loan or whether they're thinking about one. Get them the facts, get them what's in the way right now and what could be in the way in the future if we don't do this right. So make sure, boom, 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 like, love, make sure, keep this at the top of the charts so that everybody has the opportunity to get the truth and let it set you free. Did I just quote the good book? Did I just quote the good book?
You just did. You did it.
Very good.
Yay!
Anything else, Jennifer?
That was it for today. I think that was our.
Okay.
That's perfect. We want everybody to flourish and prosper and do well with their businesses. So don't, as you say all the time, don't trip over those tripwires. Don't step on those landmines. Make sure You are paying attention before you step on the landmine, because after you step on it, it's not so easy to repair.
It's a little bit messy. All right.
Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, and
Yeah, I know.
we can't put it back
Super glue is
together.
not going to help here. So thank you so much. You have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed night.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye now.